Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite aos internautas que nos acompanham neste programa Nanoalerta. Hoje, no seu número 229. Fazemos este programa dedicado ao público não especialista, porque é este público que paga as pesquisas sobre nanotecnologia realizadas no Brasil. Também fazemos este programa porque é aqui que nós podemos discutir os impactos da nanotecnologia na sociedade, no meio ambiente, na economia, na ética, na saúde, coisa que não são discutidas aonde se faz nanotecnologia no Brasil. Por fim, fazemos este programa porque acreditamos que ser livre é ser bem informado e a divulgação científica contribui e colabora para o aprofundamento da democracia e da cidadania no Brasil. Hoje, conforme tínhamos anunciado, nós deveremos conectar em breve, poucos minutos, com a doutora Azurahanim Abdullah. Ela é da cidade de Kuala Lumpur, na Malásia, na Universidade de PUTRA e do departamento da Faculdade de Ciências. Ela é a fundadora do NANOTEDD. Né? Então, nós estamos prestes a conectar. Ela teve que reinstalar a sua câmera e então nós estamos aguardando essa comunicação dela para que esteja pronto para que a gente possa tocar aqui o nosso programa de hoje. O tema dela é sobre a química e a síntese de química verde aplicado em nanomateriais voltado para a saúde e o meio ambiente. Portanto, é um tema que nos interessa bastante e por isso nós estamos aqui à espera da doutora Che. Não é sempre que nós conseguimos entrevistas em locais do Oriente, né? Como aqui se trata de uma pesquisadora da cidade de Kuala Lumpur, lá na Malásia. Então isso é importante nós realizarmos este programa, que faz parte aí da nossa construção de conhecimentos originários de vários e vários países aí, e agora com este evento da Malásia. Vamos aguardar um pouco, então vocês ficam aí com o nosso logo, enquanto não estamos conectados com ela, mas estamos aqui presentes. Vamos aguardar aí o contato com ela pelo Skype para ver se já está tudo ok. Por enquanto ainda não, mas esperamos que em poucos minutos tenhamos nosso contato com ela. Ok.
A pessoa que está a tentar contactar não está disponível. Por favor, deixe sua mensagem após o sinal.
Hello? Yes. Hello? Yes, I can hear you.
How are you? So can you hear clearly?
Yes.
Okay.
I can hear you very well. Yeah, finally. Very well. Okay?
Yes.
But I don't have your image. We can do the interview without me image if you prefer.
Hello? Yes?
Yes, you can hear me.
Yes?
Okay. I don't have your image.
Your image? Okay.
Yes, now I have your image and your sound. Very well. Okay?
Okay.
So he can start the program. He can start the program now. I put esse daqui. One moment.
Okay.
Yes. We can start the program now. And please, I would like you introduce yourself about your experience, professional experience with nanotechnology. Okay?
Okay. Okay. Hello, how are you? So my name is Dr. Azurahanim Abdullah from Department of Physics, Faculty of Science, University PUTRA, Malaysia. So currently I am in my 5th year teaching in Department of Physics, and I already involved about 9 years doing research in nanotechnology.
Oh.
Previously during my PhD, I'm working with carbon nanotube basically, but now I'm working with graphene as well as another types of nanomaterials.
Okay, very well. You can start your presentation for us.
Okay, so let me share the presentation with you.
You can use the share.
Yes, the share. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Now?
Not yet. Only your image.
Only my image?
Now?
Now?
Now is yes. I can see your PowerPoint.
Okay.
NANOTEDD group.
So this is my group. Maybe I can start from the beginning. Okay, can you hear this slide?
Yes, very well.
Okay, so do I need to make it bigger for you?
Yeah.
Slideshow. Okay.
You can continue.
Okay, so here is the presentation that I would like to share with you, Professor, tonight. The title is Chemical and Green Synthesis of Nanomaterials for Health and Environmental Application. So as I did mention to you just now, I'm from University Putra, Malaysia. Previously, I doing my PhD in University of Surrey, United Kingdom. So here is the outline of my presentation tonight. So first, I would like to introduce about myself, followed by my university. Then I will share with you a bit about my previous research throughout my doctoral and after my doctoral study, current research carried out at the University Putra, Malaysia, future research as well as the acknowledgement. Okay, so here is the career timeline. So I basically received my PhD in 2012, and after that I back to University Putra, Malaysia, and then I started doing all this kind of research. So after my PhD, actually I stayed for about 6 months before my convocation, working with Professor Alan Dalton as well as Dr. Richard here at SAUDE Material Institute. So basically in the previous study I worked with carbon nanotube, and then I studied mainly about the interaction of carbon nanotube with biological system at the cellular level, in terms of the update, translocation, distribution, fate, as well as the potential toxicity. And in the second study, I'm working with another PhD student, so we make a cell adhesion on protein, and we make the pattern protein using polymer phase separation. Then I continue again my own PhD project on CNT, where I try to make the CNT into a 2D as well as the 3D scaffold for tissue engineering. So currently, the current project is mainly what my current master's and PhD student working on. So here I listed several projects. The first one is on the synthesis of superparamagnetic iron oxide prepared via chemical method, and then the encapsulation with anti-cancer drug tamoxifen citrate for breast cancer. Then we have also synthesized superparamagnetic iron oxide prepared via chemical method and its conjugation for with phytic acid. And another student working on the synthesis of quantum dots via chemical method and try to deliver siRNA for lung cancer. And then we also synthesis graphene oxide via chemical method and its nanotoxicity assessment. And another 4 students working on green synthesis basically. So where my students working on the synthesis of zinc oxide, chemical and biogenic and its antibacterial and photocatalytic assessment. Synthesis of zinc oxide but using plant base, which is turmeric and lemongrass, and testing the antibacterial assessment. Green synthesis of iron oxide and its nanotoxicity assessment, as well as the synthesis of gold nanoparticle and its application for the colon cancer. So for the project 11 and 12, the students just entering their first semester with me. Okay. Let me share with you my previous project throughout my PhD, where I study mainly about the CNT and the interaction with biological tissue. So for CNT, I basically study the uptake of CNT by mammalian cells. At that time, I'm working with Chinese hamster ovarian cell as well as HeLa cells. So the application of the functional CNT as a nano vehicles for precise and controlled drug delivery and gene delivery. So I spend most of the time trying to study the toxicity of the CNT. So previously, we all the researchers really focusing the study on carbon nanotube because carbon nanotube offers highly efficient molecular delivery with high aspect ratios that allows for high drug loading. For example, if we work with anti-cancer drug, and non-immunogenic and biocompatible, as well as we can easily control the chemical nature of the nanocarrier. So in terms of the functionalization, last time we worked with 2 types of functionalization. The first one is the non-covalent by wrapping the RNA with or polymer, as well as the covalent via oxidation and covalent attachment of the molecules. So after functionalization, we study the uptake of the CNT by the cells using 2 types of cells, Chinese hamster ovarian cell and colon cancer cells, and visualize the CNT inside the cells using confocal laser scanning microscopy as well as Raman spectroscopy. And we study the targeted uptake of CNT by cancer cells, with the hope that we can apply CNT to kill cancer cells via 3 main methods, which is hyperthermia, targeted chemotherapy, as well as targeted gene therapy. So what we observe is the CNT was uptake by the cells and found to be localized as well as trafficking inside the cells. So the first picture here showing the 2D Raman mapping, showing that CNT is inside the cells, and below we can see clearly the focal laser scanning microscopy images of CNT inside the cells. And then here I doing the labeling, that means look at the CNT inside endosoma, endosome, lysosome, mitochondria, as well as in the nucleus. Okay, in terms of the mechanism CNT for uptake in cells, last time the researchers point out that we have like several mechanisms. The first one is energy-dependent endocytosis as proposed by Dai et al. In 2005. Energy-independent non-endocytosis can be divided into another two, which is either insertion or diffusion through the cell wall, or the other one is the cell penetration capacities independent of temperature. So this one has been pointed out by Pantaroto et al. So in terms of in vitro toxicity of CNT, I can summarize that CNT materials, the toxicity of the CNT materials can be depend mainly on how the CNT materials is used, whether you are using single wall nanotube or multi-wall nanotube, and in terms of the manufacturing method as well as the catalyst residue of the CNT, the concentration of those and the incubation time depends also on the type of cell lines that you are using, whether you are using immortalized cell lines or primary cell lines. CNT dimension, the degree of the aggregation, the type of assays used for evaluation of toxicity, mode of usage, whether you are using dispersion, substrate, or composite. And in the second project with another PhD student, where I'm working mainly on protein nanopattern on self-assembled block copolymer template and their application on the substrate co-cell culture. So here we basically pattern the polymer template through the detective adsorption. So when we talk about nano-patterning protein techniques, we have like several methods such as nanografting, stacking, electron lithography, photolithography, and other approaches. So we focus mainly on the self-assemble. That means the hydrophobic hydrophilic system. So what we get is a pair of hard and soft blocks used to create a template, selective adsorption of the protein on one component, and the substrate can be used to pattern the protein. So, in terms of the microphase separation in polymer thin film, the morphology of the thin film can be influenced by several factors, such as molecular surface energy of polymer blocks, substrate, film thickness, solvent, and evaporation rate. And what we observe is the morphology changes with block ratio and thickness in the PS VPI. PS is for polystyrene and PI is polyisoprene. So we can see from here the AFM images of our thin film before and after we doing the protein absorption. Okay, here is the after fibronectin been coated on the our block copolymer. So next we try to put the cells on our pattern polymer. So what we see that the cells are clearly happy on the pattern pattern protein, which is PS45 PI46, which is and then we found that the cell is much more on the PS45 PI46 rather than PS65 PI26. And in terms of the homogeneous thin film, cells found to attach more on the polystyrene rather than just on the top of the glass slide without fibronectin. So in the third project where I'm preparing carbon nanotube assemblies as a cell growth substrate, for this one I'm just using a two-dimensional. So we culture two types of cells, HUH7 cells and CHO cells. So for this one I basically study how the cells respond to the nanoscale surface topography, and then determine quantitatively the alignment as well as the directionality of the cells on anisotropic substrate. So here is the AFM and SEM images of Cnt Assembly. So we have rough and smooth isotropic substrate, and we have aligned and cross anisotropic substrate. So what we observe here is the AFN and confocal images, and I insert here the just normal contrast image, so we can see clearly that the cell sensing the flat and nano pattern substrate differently. Okay, finally we also try to determine at what angle does the cells follow the alignment of the aligned substrate. So we plot a scatter plot, and we found out that from this scatter plot, the elongation of cells on the aligned multi-wall nanotube substrate, which is the black color, cross multi-wall nanotube substrate green color, and on the control red color. So we can see that most of cells on our aligned substrate align about 30 degrees with the axis of multi-wall nanotube bundles. Okay, in the fourth project where I culture mostly primary liver cells on 2D and 3D CNT based substrate for liver tissue engineering. This is because that the pharmaceutical industry has a strong requirement for the in vitro model liver to reliably predict the liver toxicity. So we hope that by creating this new in vitro model drug testing, we can not only reduce the cost but can also benefit in terms of the ethical consideration. That means no human testing, so can faster the development. So here is the slide about the liver. So we know that the liver is the giant leg in our body due to the 2R. That means one and only organ that able to preserve and regenerate. And liver have few functions, for example, to process the nutrient, produce protein, store sugars or glycogen, as well as control the hormone levels, blood sugar, cholesterol level, as well as fluid retention. So in terms of liver tissue engineering, currently there is less organ due to the less organ replacement or transplant. So we hope that by having liver tissue engineering, we no need the organ replacement or transplant, and by doing this, we can also develop the new can also help in the development of new drugs for anti-cancer drug delivery. So here is the 2D and 3D scaffold. So we can see that 3D scaffold here is just a multiply yarns, just like we are doing sewing. So we have like single thread, and then you have like multi thread. That's what we call a multiply yarns. So before we seed the cell, usually we will coat the 3D scaffold with collagen just to make sure that the cells adhere. For example, when we deal with a primary cell line. So here is the images for HF7 cells on our 3D scaffold. So we can see that the cells we can see clearly that cells were growing in a bundle or in a bunch, just like a bunch of grapes on our 3D yarns. So for this one, we also check the albumin production. So for this image here showing that the albumin production much more higher, although this one is only images, but actually I also doing the other study by checking the amount of albumin secreted by the cells. So we found out that the cells on the 3D secreted more albumin compared to the cells on the 2-dimensional. So here is the conclusion for the project that I already did throughout my PhD, with which is the first one working on CNT, try to look at the uptake of CNT by the cells, and in the second project try to look how the cells attach on the nanopattern protein. So this project with another PhD students. The third one also with another PhD students. Currently he is he is a lecturer in Thailand. So for this one, we developed nanoscale topography features significantly influence both the HUS7 and CHO cells. Actually, for this, for the third project, I shoot using cells that really needs orientation, the aligned orientation. But at that time, I didn't have the cells, so I just like using whatever we have in our lab. So in the fourth project, the novelty of our scaffold provide the ECM-like structure. That means we found that the liver cells, actually I only showing you HUS7 cells. Actually I have papers, maybe I can send to you the list of papers that already published from this project, because for the fourth project we published in 2014 the papers on the primary cell lines attached primary red hepatocyte on the 3D cell culture based on CNT young. Okay, so from previous study, I hope that in the future I can expand my knowledge on the area of micro or nano scales tissue engineering and stem cell bioengineering. I would like to use a number of micro fabrication techniques developed in the lab and various biomaterials to generate a cell-laden tissue construct. And I also would like to focus on the generating artificial tissue for the biomedical application. Okay, now Prof, I would like to continue and sharing with you about the current project in my lab. So basically, project 5 until project 12 is all carried out by my postgraduate students. So project 5, my current PhD student, so actually this is her previous master project, where she encapsulates a tamoxifen citrate within the superparamagnetic polymeric nanoparticle for targeted drug delivery. So her study basically focused more on breast cancer treatment. This is because, and she decided to use tamoxifen because tamoxifen can cause adverse effect at a high concentration. So the problem that she tried to counter is cancer chemotherapy drugs are not specific on their metabolic pathway to cancer cells. So she tries to make it more. So she tried to reduce the toxic levels. So her strategy is to use magnetic nanoparticles, MNP, tamoxifen, and coated with poly-D-L lactic glycolic acid or PLGA 7525. So for her study, she introduced tamoxifen to magnetic nanoparticle using PLGA for the targeted drug delivery. So her objective at that time is not only to synthesize and characterize the composite nanoparticle, but also to investigate the colloidal stability of the tamoxifen and PLGA together with OA-MNP under different sonication time, temperature, concentration, and cell culture media. And she also studied the drug release behavior of the 10 PLGA OA-MNP. So here is the materials and method for her study. So very simple, we prepare magnetic nanoparticle using co-precipitation method, and then we just mix with oleic acid, and the other one we prepare all in water emulsion and evaporation to prepare the 10 PLGA OA-MNP. So from here, after we get 10 PLGA OA-MNP, we study the colloidal stability. So for the colloidal stability is on the DLBO theory, Jajarin, Landau, Overbeck theory. That means the stable colloid system usually less aggregation and less sedimentation, while the unstable colloid usually having aggregation as well as sedimentation. So for this one, she tried to vary the sonication time, the temperature, as well as the culture media. So we just try the one with and without serum. Okay, so from her study, she found out that when we prepare the TEM PLGA or AMNP, the optimized sonication time is 90 minutes at 30 degrees Celsius at a concentration of 0.1 milligram per ml of TEM PLGA or AMNP. And of course, in terms of the colloidal stability, cell culture media, the one with serum is showing the highest stability. And here is the TEM images of just MNP as well as OA-MNP. Actually, she already published this paper in February, and the other paper about 2 months ago. So here is TEM images for PLGA OA-MNP and TEM PLGA OA-MNP. So we can see that when we just have PLGA OA-MNP, the size is about 80.17, and after we put tamoxifen, the anti-cancer drug, the size increased from 80 to about 131.26 nanometer. So here is the SRD result, just to confirm the formation of our TAM PLGA on our oleic acid MNP. So we also testing VSM, vibrating separation magnetization. This is due to the fact that we are working with super paramagnetic nanoparticles. But we found out that from the VSM data, before we put PLGA and TAM PLGA or AMNP, we can see that the moment per mass here is about 57 and 54 for OA-MNP. But when we have like PLGA or AMNP and TEM PLGA or MNP, the moment per mass decrease up to 0.01 to 0.0083 for the TEM PLGA or AMNP. Actually, in order to make sure that our nanomaterials, for example iodine oxide, can be used for the drug delivery, we need to increase the value of VSM after we put anti-cancer drug. So we are looking how to solve this problem actually. So next, my student also tried to doing a zeta potential, and she found that after adding anti-cancer drug to the PLGA or AMNP, the zeta potential decreases from minus 45.5 millivolts to minus 30.9 millivolts. So in terms of the drug loading and entrapment efficiency of tamoxifen on the PLGA or AMNP, the drug loading capacity is only 6%. The loading capacity is quite low maybe due to the oleic acid magnetic nanoparticle. And in terms of the entrapment efficiency, almost all the attempts that is encapsulated inside the PLGA, where we found about 80% entrapment efficiency. So we also doing a percentage of loading capacity and entrapment efficiency of tamoxifen. Based on this graph, we can see that the R square is about 0.9992, and she also doing some cumulative drug release of TEM PLGA or AMNP in phosphate buffer link. So she tried to mesh the data using several models, and for her data, it's meshed with the Cos-Meyers-Pappas model. That means when n less than 0.43, the Fickian diffusion occurs. That means there is some fixed diffusion in our drug. So in terms of post-MEIO papers, that means the drugs or the nanocomposite move from the higher concentration to the low concentration. So for the first project, is the conclusion can be made that MNP and OA-MNP were successfully characterized and synthesized, and the anti-cancer drug tamoxifen and OA-MNP were successfully encapsulated inside PLTA 7525, but with low magnetic saturation. And then 10 PLTA OA-MNP is colloidally stable at 90 minute sonication, 30 degree Celsius at the 0.1 milligram per ml concentration inside complete culture media. Finally, TEM were able to be released from the TEM PLTA OA-MNP via fiction diffusion. So for my first master student, currently my PhD student, so for her project was financed by PUTRA Group Initiative Research Grant under University PUTRA Malaysia, and I also sending her to Japan for a student exchange support program financed by Japan Student Services Organization. So another student, currently she's about finishing her master. So she's working on nanomaterials mediated siRNA delivery system for the gene therapy in the lung cancer. So for her project, she tried to prepare a very small size magnetic nanoparticle between 8 to 10 nanometer and try to also edit with Paman dendrimers and sirna, and then like to prepare MNP dendrimer sirna complexes before doing the pegylation plus QD. So this one, QD stands for the quantum dot. So the roles of the dendrimers using here is to condense the siRNA from the dendriplex, and we hope that the dendrimer also can shield the siRNA payloads from the degradation and the surface functionality that permits the conjugation of any other anti-cancer drug, as well as any other, if we would like to put any other genes. So similar to the previous study, because we are using magnetic nanoparticles, so we doing some characterization on BSM, and we found that the magnetic saturation for just MNP is about 63.95, and for OA-MNP is 62.88 EMU per G. So I think this one we found at least higher magnetic saturation compared to the first study. My students also doing fluorescence of quantum dot, where currently she's planning to check the UV absorption for both CDSE and CDSE ZNS spectra via UV-Vis. So basically, she able to only detect the fluorescence from the core solution, that means the CDSE. So we still need to figure out several problems that currently occur. So here is the images for the CDSE nanoparticles as well as the CDSE ZNS nanoparticles. So my students also doing HCT and LDH assay to check for the optimization and cytotoxicity of magnetic nanoparticle and quantum dots on lung cancer, which is A549 cell line, and as well as the MRC5 cell lines. So here is another study by another students where we synthesize the graphene-based magnetite nanocomposite for lung cancer treatment. So more or less similar to the previous study, but now she's using graphene. And then because of graphene, we have a synergistic effect. That means super paramagnetic from the iron oxide large surface area from graphene, and then the mixture are highly biocompatible and improved in terms of the solubility and stability. So here is the Raman spectroscopy, showing that the increase in the intensity ratio of the D to G band indicate the formation of RGO from the GO is successful. And we also check the peak for the presence of iron oxide. And for this study, my students are loading the quercetin as an anti-cancer drug. And she's still in the process of optimization of the quercetin loading on the RGO and iron oxide. So apart from chemical synthesis, in my group, my master student also working on the synthesis of nanoparticle using green synthesis. This is due to the fact that currently we have like limited funding, limited grant. So we would like to synthesis gold nanoparticle using plant extract. So for this one, my student Nadia, she is currently try to get several extracts in order to get gold nanoparticle. So for her project, she would like to use the green method because it is eco-friendly, non-toxic, and then much more simple. So for this one, actually she's currently doing several study, and previously she found out that people's mainly using coriander, hibiscus, rosa indica, mango, olive, moringa, citrifolia, and Ziziphus mauritiana. So for this one, I discussed with my student that we may be using some the extract that we can get more in Malaysia. So here is the overview of different steps in getting the plant extract mediated nanoparticle synthesis. That means from the plant extract, we'll try to make to mix with the bulk metal solution, and from the mixings, then we can get the metal nanoparticle, and from the metal nanoparticle, then we can characterize and then doing application. So another master student currently towards the end of her master. Actually, she's doing structural, photocatalytic, and antibacterial activity of low cost and biogenic zinc oxide. So basically, for this one, her aim is to try to reduce the formation of the byproduct by using green synthesis nanoparticles. So for her studies, she used zinc oxide and of course the plant that we found abundance in Malaysia. And then for her study, she successfully managed to see that our green synthesis able to stop the bacteria growth only within I think 12 hours. And I think this paper will be online soon because just accepted. And she also doing the photocatalytic activity. So for her study, she used several concentration of the biogenic zinc oxide, and then in terms of the bacteria, she used E. coli and Salmonella. So for photocatalytic, she's using methylene orange and methylene blue. So for her study, she would like to so what we can conclude from her study is that both the structural and optical properties of the biogenic zinc oxide currently investigated under different concentration, and both photocatalytic and antibacterial activity of the biogenic zinc oxide previously will be studied, but now already studied through the photocatalytic and antibacterial tests. So for her application, she would like to use the metal nanoparticle that she created using green synthesis for wastewater treatment in order to minimize the byproduct formation. So another study, my students preparing nanotitania from Malaysian natural ilmenite for photocatalyst application as well as for the antibacterial activity. So here is a slide about titanium dioxide photocatalyst. So titanium dioxide have the ability to decompose organic substance, so it will remove dirt, odors, as well as reduce the growth of germs or antibacteria. So for her studies, she used a synthesis process that what we call a alkaline fusion method. So she's already finished doing all this characterization, the surface morphology, the crystalline qualities, as well as the optical properties. So actually, we also published this paper about 3 to 4 months ago. So where we show the photocatalytic activity of the TiO2 from natural ilmenite able to photodegrade the smoke. Actually, she also would like to use the same nanomaterials, try to measure the photocatalytic activity of TiO2 nanoparticle using formaldehyde. So currently, she's conduct antibacterial activity for the TiO2 prepared from natural ilmenite, and she expects that in terms of material, the anodized graphite tube is more suitable for the environmental application, and graphite can enhance the photocatalytic activities. But until now, we're still doing the optimization. So far, that's all the current research conduct in our group. So I have now Emily Laura Albert as my PhD students. The rest I have Usaima working on the biogenic ZNO. I have Natra Shafika working on natural ilmenite titanium dioxide. Khalida working on siRNA delivery using magnetic nanoparticle and quantum dots. Actually, I also have Lau Ji Eun. So she's the one who preparing green synthesis of ZNO using lemongrass and turmeric. I have also few other students, but they are using carbon nanotube using green synthesis, and I have another 2 students. They are working on hydroxyapatite for dental application. So both of them are biomaterials for dental application. So that's all from me, Professor.
I don't have your image. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, but I don't have your image.
Let me check.
Yeah.
You see?
No.
No,
but I would like to tell you thank you so much for your. Now I have your image for your presentation, and I don't have in-deep question. No. I don't have in-deep question for you because I don't have in-deep knowledge to do. Okay, so I have general questions. Okay, my first general question is about the carbon nanotubes and the graphene. Okay, do you think that the carbon nanotube is doing not more a pop star, nano pop star, because now the nano pop star is the graphene.
Okay, because that's why now I'm not really focusing on carbon nanotube, because now I think because I'm using graphene, but still in terms of the biomedical application, we need to get rid of both actually graphene and carbon nanotube, unless we can create carbon nanotube or graphene from a plant base. That means there is no toxic effect. But in terms of environmental application or any other application, I think graphene is good.
Okay, and do you think that the grounds, the money to do the research in carbon nanotube continues to have money to develop research in carbon nanotubes?
Again, Prof?
If you continue to have money to do the in carbon nanotubes.
You think in terms of money, funding?
Yes, yes.
Currently, due to the limited funding, I try with my new master student, we try to prepare carbon nanotube from green synthesis, because there is a few study, very few study showing that actually we can also create CNT using green synthesis. I mean from the oil extraction, or I think I found out there is also something from plant, but still my student working on it, and until now we didn't have a conclusive data yet.
Okay. And could you compare the aspects of toxicology between carbon nanotubes and graphene?
Okay, in terms of carbon nanotube and graphene, I think it depends again on the way we synthesis. Because currently my PhD student Emily, she's doing fully critical assessment of toxicity of graphene and graphene nanocomposite for biomedical application. So currently she's conducting just CT data, but later on we would like to test on tissue, because sometimes when we see the toxicity in the cells but not really represent the same toxicity in the tissue.
Okay, and my final questions is about, in your country, the government, the federal government, has a plan, strategic plan to develop the nanotechnology.
In Malaysia, we have like currently in terms of graphene, we have like a graphene national plan under Malaysian government, and we also have like a nanotechnology society in Malaysia, what we call Nano Malaysia.
Okay, and this government plan, you have how much $1 million for this?
Again, Prof?
My question is about money. How much money the government put in this plan to develop nanotechnology?
Okay, in terms of the money or funding for developing nanotechnology, I think now they put more money on nanotechnology, but it's not easy to get the funding. Basically, because I'm under physics or faculty of science, right? So for the Malaysian now they are focusing more on health. So last week we basically received a news that because I'm sharing with my friends in medical faculty, so I give her some ideas on creating new nanomaterials from plant-based for nutrition. So we managed to get about nearly 200k Malaysian ringgit for the research. So I need to tune the nanotechnology, the knowledge that I have in nanotechnology, but towards medical application, as well as how can I use that knowledge in helping the society, basically.
Okay, thank you so much for your contribution to our program. I hope in a near future you have more results of your research to show for us in another opportunity.
Sure, Prof. Do you have like in your university? Do you have a similar study?
Yes, here in Brazil we have similar study in some universities.
Okay.
So it's possible if you want to put in contact with this kind of people, we can try to discover.
Yeah, because sometimes in order to get more funding, usually we need to apply for the international collaboration. So I think by doing this Skype or sharing, I think maybe through you, Professor, we can apply more funding. So that means I can also help my students in developing more nanoparticles and then more application to help the society.
Yes, but now one of our problem is funding. The country is in crisis, and also the scientific area is in crisis because doesn't have enough funding.
Okay, that's why similar here. That's why now I'm trying to tune from using chemical to green synthesis, because for green synthesis I just need very small amount of money.
Okay, thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you so much, Prof.
Bye bye.
Obrigada.
Obrigado.